From the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 9 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. 3 years ago, coming up on the first week of October, 3 years ago, Robin and I went to a convention up in Chattanooga, and the convention place gave us a 10 by 10 foot area. Robin designed it really, really nice, looked really pretty, and it was a thing where we would basically be meeting people, and we had long hours there, didn't we, Robin?
Yes, we did.
So we had to stand for long hours, and I got to the point where standing became unbearable. I could walk, but just standing still was really hurting really bad. So I ended up sitting a lot, and you did all the standing, actually, toward the end there. And so anyway, when we got back home, I went to the doctor, and long story short, I had something going on with my veins, and long story short, they fixed it. And so now it's a lot better. It's not completely better. So the other day I was reading about beet juice. And it wasn't trying to sell me a supplement. It wasn't anything in the article that directed me to a powder or something like that. So I went to the store and I bought beet juice. It's supposed to be good for your veins, right?
Yes, yep.
Anyway, so it's horrible. I hate it. And I can't swear that it's done anything yet.
Oh my gosh.
But we have somebody on the phone, so I get to pick his brain a little bit, right?
You do.
Dr. Victor Romano, he wrote a book about pain, right? It's called Finding the Source, which that's interesting. That's what the radio station is called, The Source. Dr. Romano is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon, board-certified in sports medicine, and his book is called Finding the Source, Maximizing Your Results with and Without Orthopedic Surgery and How to Manage Chronic Pain and the Role That Exercising Plays to Relieve That Pain. I knew there was a word in here I was going to not like. Dr. Romano, good morning, sir. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me today.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
Chicago.
Okay, so pain in general can be fixed with what? Fill in the blank. Pain in general?
Well, it's not this one simple answer.
Okay.
But you need exercise, and that helps. It's a use it or lose it type of thing. And if you just don't, if you have pain somewhere, pain flow, I tell people, is a warning sign. And you have to listen to it. They always say no pain, no gain.
Yeah.
I said no brain, though, because, pain is, if your leg is swollen and hot and, you can't bend it creaks, and, there's something going on. You can't do that. But you got to exercise everything around it. You got to stay active.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. Well, if you heard my intro, and I hope you did.
Yes. Yes.
Then the doctor did tell me he did some procedure with my veins. He basically killed them, what I understand.
Okay.
He killed the bad ones, and then he did tell me you're going to have to start walking more. So there's my exercise right there from him, anyway.
Oh, yeah, walking is good. Especially when you have poor veins. So he clotted off the veins that weren't working, and so then the other veins you have to take over. And the way veins work is the heart pumps your blood to your toes, but there's no pump that pumps it back to your heart. And so you got to move the muscles. The muscles squeeze the blood towards the heart.
That makes sense.
So you have one-way valves, and your valves weren't working, and so that's why you got rid of the bad ones, and the new ones have to take over, and with time they will. And
in that case, the source, just so we can focus on the book, the source was the vein, right?
Right.
Okay.
And
that's kind of easy to visualize. Is it always that easy?
No, not at all. But the thing, though, too, is that I find that you got to get your core involved. And the core, or first, balance. And if you're out of alignment, your balance is off.
How do you know that?
Well, it's hard to tell. And so what I do is in my book, I have a stretching exercises just to keep you back in alignment.
Oh, okay.
Okay. In our football program, we used to have everybody getting hurt all the time. And I wish your back was off, your foot was off, your arm was off. But you couldn't fix it, all 60 people on the team. So now we have everybody stretching their feet, stretching the back, stretching the arms. And so we have way less injuries. Like if you do it that way, just everybody just stretches. And
Okay, and let me ask you this: Does the age of the reader make a difference? Like, if you have a college student, we got a university in our listening area; they are listening. We have retirees; they're listening. Does the book apply to the exercises in the book apply to both groups?
Yes. There's the first exercise I have people is just sitting on their feet. Okay, the college kids can sit on their feet. The older people have too bad knees; they can't sit on the feet. But then there's a way to just stretch it on the back of a chair instead. And so, but it's important for everybody to have balance. Like, the middle-aged people, I think consider myself middle-aged, just that, we're not doing anything extraordinary. So we can compensate for little balance problems. But if you're an athlete going 100 miles an hour and your balance is off a little bit, you're going to hurt something. You're going to break something to your ligament. Or if you're a little old lady, you can't compensate for the loss of balance, and you're going to fall and break your hip. And so the important is to get the good balance, you need to stretch to get your joints in alignment, and then you need to strengthen the core to stay in alignment.
And you also address breathing, and you say that sometimes people don't realize that they're having trouble with that.
Right. Yeah, I'm a big Notre Dame fan. If you notice the Notre Dame football team, you see a lot of them are wearing breathe-like strips. And that's because my nephew is part of my program. I mentioned in the book, and he teaches the team, and he identifies the players that have obstructed breathing, and just like open up the airway, you have so much more strength and better balance, and it's going to prevent injuries.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And so, like we have, like I mentioned, an older audience as well as a younger audience, but the older audience quite frequently will have a fall. Every once in a while, you'll hear about somebody who fell, and is that preventable if you could strengthen your ability to balance? Oh,
definitely. And 1 out of 25, 25% of people over 65 will fall in a year, and a big portion of that gets end up with broken bones, and so. You got to do it. So if you prevent the fall, and there's two ways: preventing the fall, and also strengthening up the bones. Osteoporosis is a big problem, and it's not only a problem with adults. So kids aren't getting any calcium and vitamin D in their bodies, and so you're playing football, and I have a kid that just left. That's a big guy, doesn't drink his milk, and his vitamin D level was 13. It should be like 50 or 60.
So drink milk. Milk is good, then you're saying, right?
Oh, definitely.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you said that because I'm really into milk. Do you know what I heard? I heard that the astronauts, when they're in that microgravity environment, that their bones start to lose density, and that same thing happens to us when we're sedentary, because if you're not putting weight on them, they lose density. Whether it's because of anti-grav or microgravity or being what do you call that we do, Robin? Sedentary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very.
Definitely, and that's why, when the astronauts, they have them doing exercising and sort of like simulate weight-bearing exercises to get their bones in.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why when people are paraplegic, they start, they try to get them to stand up every day, even though they can't walk, just to put weight on your bones.
I didn't know that.
And so it's important to do that because, so exercise is good, but the different types of exercise is you need to vary it. One is with the cardio, and I like interval exercising, just short bursts of exercise, training.
Nice.
There's a recent study that had people doing 2 minutes of training, 30 seconds on the bike as fast as they can, 4 times. They did just as well as people that did a whole hour
really
on the bike.
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah, and then the third part is the strengthening, the weight bearing, the exercises with using weights. And so it doesn't have to be the older people. It doesn't have to be dumbbells. But just using your body weight. But you need to put the weight on your legs and in your arms to build up the strength. So the bones, and then get the right diet, nutrition with your calcium and vitamin D. Older adults that eat 2 yogurts a day have less fractures than the ones that that don't.
I know a lot of people moved here to Florida because where they moved from has ice in the winter, and ice can make you slip and fall, and that's what they were worried about. So they came here, hopefully, just to get away from the ice, not the cold, but the ice. They were afraid of the ice more than the cold. All right, let's make sure people can find the book. Is it? I know it's on Amazon. Do you have a website?
Right at RomanoMD.com is my orthopedic website. And my book website is drvictorromano.com.
Okay, excellent. Victor Romano. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for being on the show with us today. Good stuff.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
You're welcome. We'll be right back.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. Florida Governor Rick Scott is asking the state's highest court to throw out a lawsuit challenging his authority to appoint 3 new